No, something completely different. When Japanese knotweed was brought to Europe in the mid-19th century, it was admired for its beauty, but due to its rapid growth rate and resilience, it quickly became Britain's most problematic plant.
Japanese knotweed is native to Japan, Korea and China, where it used to treat fungal infections, inflammation of the skin and cardiovascular diseases.
It can grow up 10 centimetres in just one day and can reach a maximum height of 7 foot in one season. It can grow through driveways, drains, foundations and even invade homes.
Its presence can be enough to cut a property's value by up to 20%.
Now, researchers from Swansea University have discovered the rather depressing news, we'll get more details, that it can't be beaten. In the biggest study of its type, scientists tested 19 different eradication methods. They all failed. Wow.
What we need is an expert.
A bioscientist, Dr. Dan Jones, is here. OK, so first of all, explain to us what you did, first of all, what you were looking at.
So knotweed's a big plant, above and below ground, so we needed to do a large enough study that we accurately modelled the size of the knotweed plant, and we also tested over a number of years to make sure that the knotweed's controlled in the longer term as well.
And what did you find?
We found that glyphosate-based herbicides were the best performing of the treatment methods. We found that other herbicide groups didn't work nearly as well as that. And we found that cutting the knotweed down or covering it up also didn't work. And I think the kind of key take-home message from this isn't so much that we can't control it. That's absolutely possible. It's just a question of, can you eradicate it in short spaces of time using herbicides? And that isn't really possible.
So just to explain a little more about that, because some people just think it is indestructible, effectively. But your suggestion is there are means by which you can do it, but not quickly.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to convey. It's not a question that can't be managed. It can be managed really, really effectively in people's back gardens. That should allow them to sell their property, and additionally it can be managed at larger scales as well.
OK, so can people manage it? If you got it in your back garden, can you manage it on your own, or does it have to be done by professionals?
It should be done by professionals. The type of herbicides that you're able to access as a professional are different to what you can as a homeowner, and you don't want to botch the treatment and result in your own mortgage falling through, for example.
And botch the treatment, what, by disturbing the plant, you can make it worse?
Well, by cutting it, for example, a lot before you apply your herbicide, you can result in poorer control outcomes, and it takes a longer time to manage the plant. Now, if you're trying to sell your property quickly, that's obviously going to impact on the transaction.
How does it arrive in a place? Why is it there in the first place?
Well, a lot of these plants were introduced as horticultural introductions. So they're brought from the Far East, brought over to the UK, planted initially in gardens, large gardens like Kew.
Because I suppose there would have been places where it would have been welcome. That fast-growing, very thick, very strong, resilient, that would have been very welcome.
And those are the exact characteristics that make it such a nightmare to get rid of.
So for homeowners, what's your take-home message? Well, don't panic.
Absolutely. This is absolutely manageable. It shouldn't impact on property transactions, and even at the larger scales, we can work with the knotweed plant to reduce its abundance and improve native biodiversity. Now,
you look at what are termed invasives, don't you? There's more generally, and that can be plant life, it can be creatures as well, can't it?
Yeah.
What are the other areas? I mean, people think of things you don't want in your back garden, and this isn't the only one, isn't it? Knotweed's just one, and probably quite a few.
Yeah. Knotweed's one of the most difficult to control. You've also got species like giant hogweed, rhododendron and Himalayan balsam. All of those are either from Central Europe or the Far East. And they're all brought over as horticultural species.
I suppose we are more interested maybe in our gardens domestically than we ever were. And I suppose as you start exploring more and getting different plants to grow, you don't necessarily know in advance what problems might arise.
It's really difficult to predict which ones will be a problem, and just to kind of point out that it's only a really small minority of the plants that are imported become as serious a problem as Japanese knotweed.
And there are rules about how it should be treated and all the rest of how you dispose of it, for example, aren't there?
Absolutely. Any material that you're digging out, cutting, that needs to be disposed of legally. And as I said, you know, when it comes to the actual herbicide treatment itself, that should be undertaken by professionals.
Have you got a garden yourself? Have you got any in your garden?
Just recently, and no, we haven't got any knotweed.
At the moment.
Fingers crossed.
Nice to see you this morning.
Thank you very much from Swansea University. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
1 minute past 9 is the time. Louise Brooks has been described as the